David Saint-Jacques, of course, a Canadian astronaut. Welcome back to the show.
Hello, Alex.
Always so happy to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about the fact that Canadians are grounded to Earth for until 2017, not being able to go to this thing back there, the space station. Before we get to that, tell me, I think people are interested to know what goes on in there. What's happening in the International Space Station?
Space Station is a research laboratory, essentially. So astronauts from around the world go on missions there for about 6 months at a time. And then they do a mixture of science research and also, of course, maintenance. About half their time is spent just keeping the station afloat and working and to keep themselves alive, right?
Of course.
And the research is a mixture of research on astronauts themselves to understand better how we react to the space environment so that one day when we go to Mars, we can actually survive those long trips. But the other half of it is just doing research on microgravity experiments that benefit people on Earth. So for example, when you go to space, because of the absence of gravity, you develop all sorts of medical problems that look like disease. And by studying that on young, healthy astronauts, then you can test drugs, for example, that are used for everybody on Earth.
Wow, so interesting. Now, okay, let's get to it. Now, why are Canadians not going to be going there until 2017? What's going on?
Well, yes, I know this has hit the news recently. For me, it's not really news.
It's not new to you, right?
No, but I'll explain how it works. So the space station is like a cooperative. So every country makes a contribution, and based on that contribution, about roughly in proportion to that, we receive the opportunity to do science experiments for our universities and chances of spaceflight for our astronauts.
Right.
So for Canada, our contribution has been robotics. Canadarm, we build space station with it. That's worth so much of space station. In proportion to that, we get so many space flights. So for us, that means one. Chris Hadfield flew a year ago, came back. So
did he use up the time for everybody?
Well, then the kind of clock resets. And then the next chance for a Canadian is in a couple of years. That falls around 17, 18, 19 time frame. It's never that precise. Then it's government, negotiation, and it's all so far above my head. It's really not something that I'm a witness of all this. To me, I just listen to it. But my job, is not to worry about that. My job is to train.
To train. So
just like when you were an athlete.
Exactly, to train.
Maybe you want to go to the Olympics, you don't decide.
True.
What you decide in the morning, when you wake up,
is the work you're going to do to get there.
Yeah, today I'm going to get a bit better.
Does this affect your training? The fact that it could be a few years before people go back?
In a way, it's good to know that there's going to be a few years, because then you can organize your family life around it. You can focus, maybe say, okay, maybe I have time to learn something a bit longer term now. It's good to have a rough idea like this. So does it affect my training? Not really. I've done most of the basic training. Now I'm more into more advanced training. There's options, for example, to maybe get a position in Russia or in Japan or in Europe for like liaison jobs, things like that. So astronauts, imagine a mountain climber. How much time does a mountain climber spend on top of mountains?
There's the way up.
The real job of a climber is to train, prepare, get there. So same for astronauts. Same for astronauts. Most of our professional career is spent on the ground, working in mission control, working backstage, either preparing or helping other missions go well. And then when the timing is right, it's our turn.
Wow.
But that's not really what we do mostly.
David Saint-Jacques, so interesting. I know you're here doing presentations. I'm sure the students are going crazy over this. Listen, just always so interesting to have you on. Thank you for coming this morning, and keep training. I know you're doing very well at it. We'll see you when you're back in Montreal.
Thanks, Alex.